Hi. Hello, everybody. It is Friday. Yay. And today's also day 13 of the Imperfection Session challenge. So yay. We've done this for 13 days, or this is the 13th day of doing this. And I'm really excited. It's been fun. And tomorrow is the last day. So I'm also excited about that, to say that I've actually completed something. I set a challenge for myself and we got it done. But how are you all feeling? I'm feeling good. Went for a walk this morning. I'm wearing a blue dress. It feels nice. I feel pretty. And I'm happy that it's Friday. Yay. So today I kind of want to talk about having more fun. I feel like the older we get, and sorry again, somebody's cutting the grass outside, so you'll probably hear that. But I feel like the older we get, the less opportunity we give ourselves to have fun and to just rest. When you're a kid, you're in elementary school and like you have recess. And so there's like however long it was, whether it was an hour or what, you had a long time to sit there and like expel all this energy, have creative time with your friends. Like they understand that children don't do well when they're just cooped up in the house. They don't do well or in a room. Like they don't do well with like constantly taking in things and keeping their attention for that long. And so then you get to middle school and then it's like, where's the recess? Like, where's recess, right? It's like this culture shock, like, oh, we don't have recess in middle school. And then in high school, you definitely don't have recess, but you have things like after school activities. You have electives that you can take that can kind of, I guess, flex that creative muscle. But it's nothing like recess. It's nothing like when someone just gives you a playground and says, go for it for like an hour or for 45 minutes or however long recess is, right? We never really have that opportunity to really just play around unless we're children. And that's the gift that children have that they don't even realize that they have, that adults don't have. We don't have, everybody expects us to be so serious. Everybody expects us to be, business minded and like thinking about the world and all this other stuff. And I feel like we believe that the older we get, the less we need to have fun. And I don't think that's true, or like the less we need to rest. And clearly that's not true. When you're in elementary school, you have nap time. Like there's a time where, the teacher comes in and is like, all right, everybody go to sleep. Everybody lay down and go to sleep. And, as a child, they'll tell you, I'm not tired. And then they go to sleep and then they can sweetly rest, like, for an hour, I guess, or however long nap time is. And then you wake up and you're rejuvenated. So yeah, like, the older we get, the less we're told that we need these things. And I just really don't believe that all of a sudden, when you hit middle school at like 12, 13, that you don't need playtime anymore. That when you're 25, you don't need a nap. That when you're 35, you don't need recess. Yes, no one's going to give us that time, but we have to be purposeful, in making that time for ourselves. So when we approach our work, let's say like we're adults now, people tell us like, oh, you're an adult, you have to work now. Like this is the focus, you need to be building businesses, making money. We put so much stress and strain on ourselves to try to make money, to try to be seen as resourceful to another community, whether it be a company you work for or a business you're starting. There's so many things that we do throughout the week that deplete us. We work, we're building businesses, we're taking care of our responsibilities and our families and stuff like that. And we're not really taking the time that we need to refill our well. And so ask yourself, when was the last time you took yourself out to play? Whatever that means for you. Like, when was the last time you actually cut aside time in your day to be like, you know what, today I'm just going to play, or for these 3 hours, I'm going to play around, right? Playdates aren't just for children. Playdate can just be a time that you do something fun for yourself. So you can go for a walk, do things for leisure, do things not to be productive or to make money, but doing things just for the sake of having fun. And I know as an adult, it's so counterintuitive because we're told so much that like, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Clearly that's not true, right? We know that's not true. But living in a society that's very capitalistic, I guess I should say, capitalism pushes people to be productive. And if you're not seen as productive, you're not seen as valuable. Or if an activity is not seen as productive, then it's not seen as valuable. And so we a lot of times forsake taking care of ourselves. We forsake taking care of other people. We forsake just sitting and doing nothing for the sake of being productive and making things happen for ourselves. You look on Instagram, you look on any kind of social media platform, it's like, yes, I did this, and this today. I'm amazing. As if you weren't amazing before you did all these things. As if like your worth only comes from the work that you put out and things that people can see that you do. And we wonder why we're so stressed out and so bummed out and so depressed and so, again, depleted. It's because we have no margin in our lives. Think about like your budget, right? So when I talk about margin, it's usually about money. So when you're writing out your budget for the week, right? And a lot of people are like, dang, like I don't have any wiggle room in my budget for anything. So if a disaster comes, it's done, you're over, right? And so when you're trying to find more margin in your budget, you're trying to lower your expenses, you're trying to get rid of stuff that you have to pay for like monthly or something, because anything that happens wrong is a disaster. It's a disaster when you have no margin. When you have no margin in your life for fun, anything that like you can jam pack your schedule with 10 things that day, right? And one thing goes wrong, everything's ruined. It's a catastrophe. It's all messed up. It all sucks. It's all horrible, right? But we shouldn't have put all that pressure on our schedule in the first place. We shouldn't have filled our schedule so much to the brim that there's no room for wiggle room to take care of other people, to take care of ourselves. And I understand that a lot of people are just living paycheck to paycheck, right? And so I get it. Like if something happens that like throws off the whole thing, it is a disaster. It is. And I feel like in the same way, when we put so much pressure and so much stuff in our schedule, when one thing happens, so say you have 10 things to do today, and then you get a call from your child or from your friend and they need your help, you're going to see that as a burden now because it's taking you away from something that you could have done, that was productive, right? Or if you're exhausted, you wake up, you don't feel well. When you're jam-packed schedule, when you have 10 things to do that day, you don't have any room to recuperate. You don't have any room to sit down and rest and to take care of yourself. And so you forsake yourself for this to-do list, So with our energy is a resource as money is. And so we have to allocate our energy appropriately. We have to be honest with ourselves. If we know things are going to take up a lot of energy, maybe you need to give it more time. Maybe you need to set it at the beginning of the week, at the beginning of the day when your energy is high, right? Because towards the end of the day, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And so if we're not replenishing that energy, if we're not replenishing that resource, then we're going to be exhausted all the time. We're going to be grouchy all the time. We're going to be in a bad mood. We're going to be stressed out, burnt out, sick, if we don't take care of ourselves. And so I know a lot of people like self-care is like really trendy now. Self-care is like the thing. It's like the end thing. But I really feel like a big part of self-care is play and rest. So there are benefits to doing nothing, to playing around, to going outside and just having a good time. 1 is lowered stress and anxiety. 2, you refill your well. 3, it's newfound inspiration. So many people come up with books and programs and business ideas going on a walk or playing with their kids, like literally just minding their business and having a great time. And like an idea will come from that. You know what I mean? But being present in the moment, being quiet enough and still enough, and focus enough on that one activity is what is required of you to even get that idea. You're wondering why you don't have any ideas, why you're so frustrated. It's because you have no space. You have no margin in your life, renewed energy. When you rest and play, you feel rejuvenated, stronger bonds with the people you love. If you're playing with your kids are going to remember that forever. They might not remember the fancy toys that you were working so hard to get them and buy them. No, they're going to remember that time that dad played with me in a box. The dad helped me ride a bike down the street, that we took walks together. You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff that your kids are going to remember. And unfortunately, I feel like society has put such a big bearing, like such a big emphasis on money and things that we don't really see time as an invaluable resource. That's the thing. Like time is the only thing you can't get back. Time is the only thing that you can't just, I'm going to save up. And no, like time is the most important resource that you have. And while you might not have millions of dollars or millions of books or whatever people are saying to do, you have those memories with the people you love the most, that you'll cherish forever. You'll lower your blood pressure because you'll be less stressed out. It's therapeutic. Like having a way to work out your feelings and your frustrations are really beneficial to taking care of yourself. Being more present in the moment, as I mentioned before, as opposed to being stressed out and worried about the future. When you were a child out there playing on the playground, you weren't worried about what class was next, unless like you were older and then you like started getting anxiety. But when you're like a kindergartner, right? You don't care. You're out there like, yes, recess is what the one thing I'm looking forward to today. Hanging out with my friends is the one thing I'm looking forward to today. And you focus on that moment. And when that moment is over, you're like, oh, we got to go back. Almost like you don't even like, the time is gonna wind up finished, right? But in the moment, you're focused on having fun. You're focused on that moment. Rediscovering a sense of wonder and appreciation. So like, again, I feel like we all have a child self And I don't think that child self ever grows up. We pretend that like, oh yeah, I don't really want to play. I'm fine. I want to focus on this business or whatever. But we all have a child self that's like, take me outside, take me to hang out with my friends, take me on a bike ride. You know what I'm saying? And we forsake that person, and they never really die, that child self. It really just sits there and is kind of like depressed. It's almost like a cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like it becomes a frustration as opposed to a gift, you know? So when we don't take time to smell the flowers because we don't take time to smell the flowers because we're so busy trying to sell them, instead of just enjoying, you know, the gifts that God gave, the time that we can spend with other people, or like the hobbies we're picking up, we're like, oh, how can I monetize this? How can I make money from this? How can I be looked at as, you know, a productive individual? When in reality, maybe God just wants you to just do it for fun. Do it because it feels good. Do it because you can gift it to somebody else and make them feel good. You know, one of the things I love seeing when I'm walking around the park near my house is Black men playing basketball. Right now, it's not really happening as often because of, you know, COVID. But I love seeing it because these are grown men, like grown men, like sometimes in their 50s, 60s, and they're out there just having a good time, right? They're out there, and it's almost like therapy. They're talking to each other. They're working out their frustrations. They are exercising, of course, but they're just having fun. And to me, it really shows that like we don't really ever grow up. We don't really ever really stop wanting to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them get jazzed just to go out there and go shoot around with their friends because it feels good, because it's fun. And they're allowing themselves to be kids in that moment, kids, you know? So, you know, their goal is not to join the NBA, you know, like they know like, okay, I've aged out of that, you know, but they still do it. And why? Because it's fun, because it is beneficial. And so rediscovering our passions, I think is something we've lost sight of. We've lost sight of rediscovering passions and hobbies. Everything has to be monetized. Everything has to make money. Everything has to be a business plan. And I really feel like once you put that pressure on those things, it's not fun anymore. It's like it's necessary. It's not fun. It's not therapeutic. If anything, it's a cause of more stress, of more strain, of more striving. And so when we start to focus on those things and make those things like a business plan, we now have made our margins even more smaller. The things that gave us margin are now making things even more smaller. And sometimes when you're not monetizing stuff, you have more fun with it. You have more fun with it and you feel better when you're finished doing it and not putting this unnecessary pressure on your art or your creativity or fun. So people say, like I said, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. It's not true. If it makes you feel good, it makes sense. If it replenishes you, it makes sense. If it helps you bond with somebody else, it makes sense. If it stills your spirit, it makes sense. The thing is, hustle culture is a real thing. And I know it's something I've talked about before, and I'm just so against hustle culture, especially for Black people. And I'll tell you why in a second. But hustle culture is just like a byproduct of capitalism, right? It's this idea, and nothing necessarily is wrong with capitalism itself. I think that people have taken it and made it wrong. And so like the idea behind it makes sense, right? But let's be real. When people they get and they keep to themselves. They don't share. They don't like, they're inherently selfish. So unless you have some sort of, you know, bone in your body to be like, oh, I have enough. Let me give to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Let me bring somebody else up. Let me invest in somebody else's opportunities. You're not going to do it. So the thing is, though, that we've applied capitalism and hustle culture to our own lives. And it's this idea that the only way that you're worth something or you're valuable is by producing something for somebody else, right? And so when we apply those thoughts to our lives, because we talked about earlier, I guess last week, that we're born worthy. You can't earn your worth. You can't lose it. So when you're applying it to your life and you're trying to be like, okay, I have to prove that I'm worthy and I have to do 3 things today. It's like, no, like you can do nothing today and you're fine. But hustle culture will tell you that you have to earn your sleep. You have to earn your rest, earn your shower. Like it's always this like give and take, right? Instead of just being still and being accepting of who you are and the value that you give by just existing, by just being there. So your worth is not something perceived by somebody else, who you're making money for, who you're producing things for. Like your value is inherently in you from the time of your conception. So you also need to set boundaries, right? So everything doesn't have to be a means to make money, right? Everything doesn't have to be a business, right? So you set the boundary for yourself, but you also show others like, hey, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And I'm not going to work after 3. When I get off at 3, I'm done. At 3, I'm clocking out. I'm going to my friends. I'm going to my family, or whatever, obligation you might have after that. Setting those boundaries with other people and yourself are truly important. So we should prioritize play, right? We should prioritize play because God gave us a life and work to enjoy it. What is the point of working your butt off all your life and you can't even enjoy what your work gives you? What's the point of that? God gave us this life to enjoy it. Some things can't be marketed or sold. Laughter with a friend, hanging out with your kids and like creating memories with them. A vacation where all you do is sleep. So me and my husband, for our honeymoon, we went on a cruise and it was fun. And so, of course, like you see the itinerary and like, oh my God, we're gonna do all these things we're gonna do. And so we would set an alarm because we would fall asleep, and we set an alarm to like get up and go do these activities. And later on, we were like, I actually don't want to do any of this. Like, can we just roll over and go back to sleep? And so some people would see that as a waste. Like, y'all went on a cruise just to go to sleep? Yes, we did. Like, we did other things too. But this pressure that we were putting on ourselves to be productive, even in our vacation, was unnecessary. And we do it all the time, right? Like, we just think about this. You work, and I'm gonna get to this in a second, but still, for 2 weeks out of the year, you have vacation. And so many people need a vacation from their vacation because they're so exhausted after their vacation. Why? Because they're trying to stuff things into 2 weeks. Like, they're trying to stuff a whole year's worth of experiences and freedom and all that stuff into 2 weeks, when you could have, for the whole year, have cut away little pieces of time to really have a mini vacation. You could have cut away a weekend and done nothing and answered no calls, no emails, no nothing. This weekend, I'm just going to do this. If you were to do that during those 2 weeks, right, you would feel less burdened to do so much more. And I also understand that not everybody gets 2 weeks, right? So that's another. The whole system of the world is just flawed. It's just flawed, but not everybody gets 2 weeks. So what can you do in your life every day to create some sort of margin so that you can have fun and play? That's the whole point of this whole conversation. Focusing on playing and resting, it calms our spirit of striving. It calms that spirit of striving. Nothing is inherently wrong with work, but we idolize it. Again, that hustle culture is like, you hustle, you can sleep when you die, and da-da-da-da. That's idolizing work. And the thing is, like, God told us to rest because he knew if we were left to our own devices, we would not rest. We would always be working. Like, I have to catch myself sometimes, like, is this work or is this rest? And am I turning something that's rest and play into work? And then how can I just shut it off and like, okay, we're not doing this at 9:00 p.m. You know what I'm saying? Write down the idea, come back to it in the morning. And I know that's hard as creatives because sometimes you do get like inspired and you have to do everything right now. But what happens is, you start focusing on that thing and you're stressing yourself out when you should be getting ready for sleep, or you're stressing yourself out when you should be focusing on your child's play, or you're stressing yourself out when you're on a date. Like, those things bleeding into the places in our lives that really matter, that really needs our attention right then and there. That's how we start to idolize work. You start to feel guilty around playing or resting or enjoying yourself. And it's almost like triggering because it's like, we've been conditioned to believe that we have to earn rest and play. Like, when you're a child, your parents probably said, you can't go outside until you clean your room. Or for me, it was like, you can't go outside or hang out with your friends until you clean the bathroom. Or, you have these chores to do and then you can enjoy yourself and play. And the thing is, like, I get it, right? Because chores, like, there has to be a balance. You have to teach your kids to do things around the house, to be responsible. But the thing is, I think the problem, it can be problematic sometimes because sometimes it teaches us that we're not worth rest or play. To this day, it's triggering for me when I'm relaxing and then somebody around me does something. Somebody around me starts vacuuming. Somebody around me starts mopping or washing dishes. I check myself like, oh God, I got to be doing something too, right? And it's like, no, you don't. You don't have to be doing something. But it's this idea, especially around a lot of like Black folk, it's like, you don't get to rest. Rest is like almost seen as a privilege. It's seen as, again, something you earn. And I saw this meme on Instagram that made me think about rest in Black people. And like, when you're a child, your parent made you get out of bed because it was just time to get up. You could be exhausted, you could be tired, had a whole week of school and learning. And on Saturday morning, it's 12 o'clock and you're still in bed. And it's seen as you being lazy. It's seen as you being like not productive. And it's like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with sleeping in on a Saturday? And And I think as Black people, we've just been taught that our value comes from what we can do for other people for so long that we pass that on to our kids. That idea of like, you can't rest, you can't play, or if you play, you're lazy, or if you rest, you're lazy. And it's like, no, you're not lazy. You're tired. You know what I mean? Like you're tired, and sometimes you just need a nap. I see when Black people take rest, when Black people play around, when Black people do things for fun, I see that as a revolution. Like that is revolutionary to me. Taking a nap in the middle of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like we beat ourselves up for, it's like, I need a nap. Like, but no, we push through. But no, you need a nap. Go to sleep if you can. If you can go to sleep, because again, that's a privilege that some people don't have. Or like saying like, no, I'm taking off today. I'm not going to work today because I am tired. That is revolutionary to me. You know, I had this thought about my ancestors, like my great grandma, my great great grandmother, who I've never met. And I'm thinking about how hard they worked. And this is why I say like hustle culture is not for Black people. And this is just my thought. My ancestors worked their butts off. They hustled. They had 3-4 jobs, like between two of them, right? People were living in the house, like working and contributing to the home, but somehow they were still broke. But then now you're telling me as like they were barely making it, right? But now you're telling me as someone who lives in the year 2020, that hustle culture is something I should strive to seek out. I should strive to struggle just like my ancestors did, when clearly it didn't work out for them. And so it makes you realize the question is not about hustling. It's not about being lazy. And I get so disappointed when I see other Black people, especially bringing other Black people down, talking about, you know, some people are receiving unemployment right now, and talking about how they need to invest this money into a business. And if you don't come out this without a business and without an LLC, then you're lazy. And no, it's a pandemic. You're surviving. Like you're surviving. And half of these people, for the duration of them receiving unemployment, this is the first time they've had to rest in a long time. And not even rest like with peace, but resting, one, because they can't work, right? And then two, yes, they are stressed out because like, where's my next paycheck coming from? The CARES Act, that ends the end of this month. And some people are trying to figure out, what am I going to do next? What's going to happen next? How am I going to pay my rent and my mortgage and all this other stuff, right? But you're telling them to gamble with their money when this is the first time that they've rested in all their working years. No, sis, take that rest. Go to sleep. Take a nap. You know what I mean? Like, it's so disheartening because, and it's so ingenuous because you know that Black people have struggled and hustled for so many years and have gotten nothing from it. And I hate for this to go into this, but it's really important to me. When I was 17, I had 3 jobs. I worked at a hospital. I worked at Circuit City when it existed. And I worked at Applebee's or McDonald's. I think it might have been McDonald's. And I was exhausted. I was taking a bunch of energy drinks. I'm trying to save up all this money. And where is that money now? I don't have it, like, because life, and you have things to pay for, right? And I realized that I was missing out on actually living my life. I was so stressed out. Like I could tell the company didn't care about me. There was a time when Circuit City locked me in their building. They didn't even care to check if I was still in there. Like you really start to see, oh, I'm not valuable to these people unless I'm making them money. And so why am I giving so much of my time that I cannot get back to this company who doesn't care about me when I could be resting and playing? And yes, I just feel like we have to unlearn this thinking. We have to unlearn this way of judging other people. Even when people decide that they just want to stay in, you call them lazy, or if at a job, if you're an overachiever and somebody says, no, I'm clocking out at 5 because that's what I'm contracted to do, clock out at 5. Why are they seen as lazy because they want to go home at 5 when that's all that's required of them? No, like they're done at 5. They can go home and enjoy the rest of their lives. Just because you want to work overtime and do the most, hats off to you, wonderful. But don't look down on those people either for going home and doing what they're required to do. So again, we have to unlearn the stuff that we've learned from being a child. And the world teaches us that we have to earn rest and enjoyment and leisure. So again, you're busting your butt for 50 weeks of the year, and only 2 weeks are you allowed to just do nothing and enjoy yourself. That's crazy. That's crazy when you really think about it, and it's insulting. Like, nah, I need more than 2 weeks. Or you slave for 50 years and then you're only allowed to enjoy your life during the latter half of it? Like, what? Like, no, these people don't care about you. You have to care about yourself. You have to do the work that it takes, because they're not going to hand it to you. They're not going to hand you leisure and play. Leisure was always seen as something that wealthy people did. You know what I'm saying? Like, people at the top, Unfortunately, for a lot of businesses, they're not working as hard as the people on the bottom. I'm just going to say it. They're not. Like, but your leisure doesn't have to look like their leisure. It doesn't have to look like going to the spa or doing something really expensive. Self-care, play, and rest are accessible to you. Whether that's going to sleep, watching television, knitting, sewing, hanging out with friends, going to the pool. I mean, some stuff you can't do now because, everything's shut down. But there's a way that you can seek out rest, leisure, and play in your everyday life. So yeah, like I said, Black people especially, I'm talking to y'all, rest is revolutionary. And you should take that time to rest, because for how many years have our ancestors not been able to rest? You know what I'm saying? Like, or how many years have we had to work twice as hard to get half as far? It's like, no, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to bed. Hustle culture has been co-opted by the majority, like the people who didn't have to suffer for years and years and years, to make it into something sexy and attractive. And we have bought into it as people who have been oppressed for so long. It's like, yes, I need to hustle and grind. And it's like, no, you've been doing that. Like, what do you think you've been doing? What do you think your parents have been doing? And I thought about how pointless it would have been for my ancestors to work as hard as they did, right? For a better life for myself, for the hope of their future generations not working as hard, for me to go back and willingly go back into that bondage and willingly go back into that hustle mentality. But when I have the privilege of not having to do that right now. And again, it is a privilege because some people don't have a choice, or they feel like they don't have a choice. They have to work 2-3 jobs. Do what you have to do. But please don't buy into this mindset. And I think that's the point. Like, don't buy into this mindset that you have to do this to be worthy, that you have to do this to earn rest or play. No, you can do that every day of your life because you exist. You're supposed to. So I've decided to enjoy this life that God gave me. I've decided to try to change my mindset around hustle culture. There was a time when I was really trying to get it, but it just wasn't working for me. I would get sick, I would get depressed, I would get angry and frustrated and down on myself, which would slow myself down even further. And I realized that hustle culture was not for me. And it wasn't until recently, with the whole pandemic happening, that I actually had time to think about, maybe hustle culture is not for Black folk. You know what I'm saying? Like, just from my reading and from experiencing and from thinking, like, actually stopping and thinking, what am I doing this for? What am I doing all of this for? Is it for me? Is it for my family? Or is it to be accepted by the majority who's looking down on me because I'm not going to come out of the pandemic with an LLC? Like, no, I'm going to come out alive with my life, Lord willing. You feel me? And that would be greater, and that would be more important than me having an LLC or a business. You know what I'm saying? And being ill and sick and losing people and not, being of any good to anybody else because I'm focused on what I'm doing. So yeah. And again, this is a privilege thing because, like I said, a lot of people cannot afford to not hustle. So yes, you have to purposely cultivate play in your life. How can you do that? It doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be far, far away. It's accessible. Staycations are a thing. Me and my husband did that all the time. Like, we would just stay in the area, stay in the house, and not do nothing but watch TV, watch cartoons all day, order pizza or get, store-bought pizza from the thing, and just chill for the whole weekend. Like, just do nothing, like nothing, just sit there. And then by Monday, you feel more replenished. You feel more energetic. Of course, you're a little sad because, like, oh, Monday's here again. But it's more accessible than us trying to plan a trip, a 2-week trip later on in the year. So yes, write it down on your calendar and do not budge on your dates. If you write down from 5 to 7, you're going to be walking, you're going to be in the park or sewing or knitting or whatever, don't let anybody come in that space. That is a time for you and you only. That is a time where you can set aside and be like, you have to hold it as important as a business meeting. This is a non-negotiable. I can move on this. And of course, if emergencies come, don't be a jerk, right? But no, if it's silly things, that can wait. You can wait on that. But for this time, it's a non-negotiable. Like, we have to start taking care of ourselves. We have to, like, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all that. Like, these 2 hours of the day, when you've given all these other hours to everybody else, are so vital for yourself. And you're worth it. You have earned it. Best thing, you don't have to earn it. You need it. Like, you need that time. Do what you need to do and go to bed. Stop working till 3 a.m. Like, what good is that? And you waking up all tired. Do what you can for the day. And that's the thing. That's the prayer we've been asking for. Like, I know me and my husband have enough grace for the day. That's it. Because, I mean, anything beyond that, I can't control. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't even know if I'm going to wake up in the morning, right? It's God who wills that to happen. So what am I stressing out about tomorrow for? Stressing about things I can't control, stressing out even in the past. And I struggle with that, looking like, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And I can't go back and change it. I can try to make changes today, right? So all I can really have is enough grace for today, because that's all I'm meant to do, is to reside in today. I can't reside in 3 different time planes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, today is it. Today is all I have. So yes, do what you can and go to bed. Rest is productive. Rest is productive. Rest is productive. It sounds counterintuitive, but rest is productive. It doesn't make sense. Rest is the only place that you can go to bed and restore yourself. Rest is the only time you can replenish yourself. Like, you want to be knocking out all these business plans and all these meetings and stuff, but you tired, you sick, you have no good to nobody else. You're half doing stuff because you don't have the right energy you need to finish a project or to do something. You need to go to sleep. You need to turn off your brain. You need to do something for fun. Rest is productive. Stop looking at rest as being lazy or something you don't know. You need it. It's vital. It's vital. If you plan on building a business you want to sustain for years and years, and you need to sleep. Because when you don't sleep, you shorten your life. Like, just on a basic scientific level, you shorten your life. You need rest. Like I said, have a staycation. Log off when the timer goes off. You know, when it's 5 o'clock and you're working from home, shut the computer down or close out of the work, whatever. Like, set those boundaries for yourself and other people will start to respect them. Of course, they might feel weird at first. Like, why is she not working until 7 like everybody else? Because I don't have to. Y'all not paying me to work till 7. But still, like, and again, for some jobs, you don't have a choice. But if you do have a choice, shut the computer off. Do absolutely nothing at all. Don't fill your schedule to the brim with things to do. Just do nothing. And I know this sounds hard, because it is. Like, when you're just sitting there, like, there's so many things I could be doing right now, but I'm not doing anything. But trust me, you need that time to not do anything at all. You need it. It's going to be so beneficial for when you start doing stuff. Go outside and play like a kid. Ride bikes, play tag, play with your friends outside. Play outside with friends and family if you can. If you're, in the house with them, of course, be safe. Visit a place you've always wanted to go. Go to a beach. Sit there and listen to the waves. Pick up a new hobby. Don't feel pressured to share it with anybody or to monetize it. Detach yourself from this world's view of what it means to be valuable and worthy. Like I said, if you were born, you're worthy. You're here. Welcome. You know what I'm saying? Discover what's fun to you. I mentioned before how I like painting. I'm not a good painter. Like, this painting right here, I did for fun. And my closet's open, whatever. The painting I did for fun, and I'm not selling it. I'm not trying to monetize my skill. It was just therapeutic to do. And it was fun, like, just to see colors on paper and to feel the paint on the canvas. It just felt nice. It felt easy. It made life easier. So yeah, only pick 3 things to do. 3 things. I struggle with adding everything on my to-do list. And when I don't get it done, I feel like trash. I feel not good enough. I feel like I'm not worthy of resting or turning off. If I make 3 goals that are accessible and I achieve them, I feel great. And anything beyond that is wonderful. But just having 3 things on your schedule adds more margin in your day for play, rest, and for any emergencies that might pop up. Schedule a play date with your friends. Go to Skype or Zoom. Like, talk to them. Go for a walk with them. Learn to reprioritize your relationships over striving. Your kids care more about you being present than they do about what paycheck you get in the mail. It's just a fact. When I was younger, I don't know how much money my parents were making, but I remember those moments when they were there with me in those moments. Same things with your friends and your family and the people you love. And by choosing to rest and play, you disrupt the cycle of productivity. You teach your kids, you teach the people around you that it is okay to play and rest, right? But you also teach other people that you have boundaries, that you're not superhuman, that they need to find other resources for other things. You teach them how to be resourceful. You teach them to rest themselves and to stop crossing over people's boundaries. If I said I'm done at 5, if you emailing me at 7, I'm not going to email you till tomorrow morning, about business stuff. You teach people how to treat you. You teach your friends that it's okay to not have plans. When I hang out with my friends, we don't have no plans. Shout out to the crew. Shout out to Marcus, Denise, all these people. Like, we don't have plans. Like, it's like the plan is to meet up. The plan is, okay, we're going to go over such and such's house and we're just going to wing it. And when we go there, we have a great time. There's no pressure or an itinerary. Like, it's real chill. Like, you need to have people like that in your life. Like, when I go to New York and go visit my friend Denise, we go and like, we'll make these plans. Like, we're going to do this, and this. And then when we show up, we don't even do half the stuff, but we don't need to do all that stuff to enjoy each other's company. We don't need to spend money to enjoy each other's company. Half the time when I go visit her, we don't visit anything like touristy, and it's fine. It's perfect, right? Because we have each other. That's what really matters. Not us spending money, not us meeting some sort of itinerary. it's a sanctuary almost to just let down and play. Like sometimes I'll be in jammies all day long until we decide to go somewhere. Like that is the benefit of just having community around you that honors and celebrates you, and also honors and celebrates the idea of resting and playing around and just having fun and going with the flow. So yeah, so be kind of thoughtful, of course, but take the pressure off. You teach yourself to take the pressure off of things that are fun. And you show others that they matter when you go with the flow. When you're working and someone calls you crying, you're not in a panic to be like, oh God, I got to get X, Y, and Z done. You don't see them as a burden. You're grateful for the ability to be available to help them. You're grateful for the ability to be able to be someone they can vent to. Someone just honked. You're grateful to just be there. And I feel like that's the whole point. Like we're not put here to just be productive rats. We're not put here to just be, experimental rats, or like to work until we die. Like our ancestors had to go through that. You feel me? And like the benefit that we have today for some of us is that we have the time and the resources to be present, to help other people with money. And I feel like your presence is more important than your paycheck. I'm just going to say it. And again, I'm speaking from my perspective today, and I don't want to discount that some people don't have a choice but to hustle. Some people don't have a choice but to work 2-3 jobs, or to leave their kids at home by themselves. Like, I get it. Like my mom was a single parent raising us, you know what I'm saying? So I totally understand some stuff just has to get done. But if you have the privilege of having margin in your schedule, give yourself the benefit of resting. And if you have extra, give someone else the benefit of resting. Take someone's kids for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Make a meal for somebody. Like, how can you be of use to somebody else? So yes, that's the thing for today. Just play and rest and margin and community, like all that stuff. I feel all that stuff is a part of being a good creative, being a good person, being a healthy person, not a good person, but just like being in good health, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. If you're not taking time to play and replenish your well, you're not going to make anything of use. You're not going to be anyone of use. You know what I'm saying? We need you. We need your presence. And I hope that makes sense. And until tomorrow, you guys, have a great weekend. Happy Friday. I'll talk to you all tomorrow at 12. Okay. So until then, bye.